This is Will. He's a turkey farmer and has 50 acres of land in East Sussex in the southeast of England. He spends up to £50 a day on fuel to keep this huge generator going. Even if it's just to chop some wood or boil a kettle. That's because his farm is completely off-grid. But today, after weeks of installing solar and loads of Victron gear, it's time for Will to switch to a greener, cheaper system. Day-old turkeys arrive here in June and grow to various sizes just in time for the traditional festive meal in December. These are unlike mass-produced supermarket birds. They are slow-growing breeds that take 6 months to reach maturity.
We've grown from a few hundred, sort of 300 or 400 6 years ago, up to 2,100 last year. We're aiming to get to 2,500 as quickly as possible, because I believe that will give us a viable and manageable business. We sell direct to the public, at farm gate sales. We sell to farm shops, and we sell to butchers. So we've got a nice spread of customers.
After the first month in a brooding shed, the turkeys move to the larger sheds, and at around 6 or 7 weeks, they are introduced to the outdoors.
There is no power here. There is no water here. There is no telephone or any external connections. And to bring the power down to a box that would be 10 metres away from the pole, which is the nearest you can get it, basically. Last year that was £13,000 to bring it just to the box, which is approximately 500 metres away. This year that price has gone up to £18,000. And the cost of the cable, well, I'd say the last quote I had, which was last year, was £10,000 for a cable to bring it down to here. So you're looking at a cost of £30,000, and that's with me doing the majority of the work, digging the trenches, connecting it all up, and going under the road as well. The brief was basically a solar system that would be entirely off-grid, give me all the power I needed for that welfare building. I think the brief I said to him was, assume it's like a house, the house requirement. So that's what I hope we've got and we were aiming for.
So he needed a system that was, reliable, that he could use the generator as a backup rather than the main source of power. So what we've built is a system that's going to be autonomous and provide him with the power he needs all through the year.
But Will was keen to learn, as well as save as much money as possible, and asked Paul Collins from Energy Monkey, who are based in Gloucester, England, if he could install it all himself with their technical support.
Paul assured me that he would, any questions I had, any issues I had, he'd be there on the end of the phone and to answer any questions. And the sort of the delivery, I have to say the delivery was a little bit daunting. Unpacking all the boxes and sort of full of wires, cables, bits of kit. Was quite. I did have a few moments of thinking, what the hell am I doing? Should I see if I can find an installer who can do this? But I decided to just have a crack at it, basically.
So Will's system includes 20 340 watt panels, 10 kVA Quattro, and 8 2.4 kilowatt Pylontech lithium batteries.
Housed within a dedicated electrics room, Will installed all the kit. The panels are on the roof of the welfare building and cabled down into the room via a fused combiner box before going through the solar charge controller. There is a central DC bus bar using the Lynx distributor. This is where the solar and the batteries are fused and connected.
In terms of the battery storage, we use Pylon in huge numbers. We do all sorts of projects where they use 20 batteries, 40 batteries, and yeah, it works really well with the Victron kit.
Going from the bus bars, the larger, thicker cables are again fused, put through an isolation switch and connected to the 48 volt 10 kVA Quattro inverter charger. This feeds a normal 230 volt AC consumer unit.
The Victron stuff really is the stuff that goes on for 20 years. We see inverter chargers back after 12 to 15 years that have, there's nothing wrong with them. It's more cost effective in the long run to use Victron.
Up until now, Will has needed to turn the large 50 kVA generator on to get any electricity. Whilst the turkeys are being prepared for market, they are hung and boxed into refrigerators housed within the main barn. Running the generator for the rest of the year is extremely costly, especially when the requirement is simply for a small amount of DIY equipment.
I do want to use the cable that is currently powering the welfare building from the generator. I want to reverse that so that I can then run all the lights, all the lighting requirements and low power requirements in the brooding shed and the big barns up at the top. So again, I don't need to turn the generator on if I want to go and find, a screwdriver or something. So
I mean, this really is the first stage of the system. Once he's seen it on and working, he'll get a much more clearer outlook on how energy is produced, how much he's going to use, the levels, and look to the future. Maybe we might add a wind turbine or some more solar panels, and as he grows his system, it will expand with him.
Paul has highlighted that once Will uses the solar to produce his electricity, he will very quickly see its benefits, not only to his wallet, but with no on-site noise, the sheer power it has, and by taking his business to a greener, cleaner future.